My name is Dao Doan. I'm one of the senior principal at Mainstreet Architects, and I'm also the principal in charge of this project. You might have heard that, that this project is one piece of an overall master plan. There are three parts to that. One is the expansion of the existing administration building on the other side, and then the second part was the development of the bus parking, where they have the CNG fueling station, okay? And then the third part is this facility, the HHW, the household hazardous waste, okay? So for the longest time, the city of Thousand Oaks had only a temporary facility, and residents would have to call and sign up for, I guess, like one weekend a month to come here and drop off their hazardous waste. So this facility came up about, the idea for this one came up about 10 years ago, and over time, it took quite a bit of effort and coordination working with both the city and the private sector, the developers and everything to get this thing here materialized. So we are standing on the front of the building. I would like to point out first some features that we have incorporated in the project. One of them is that the parking lot is paved with what we refer to as permeable pavers. Okay, so the reason we use that is to allow water to infiltrate into the ground, and that's one way of holding the water onto the site before it's slowly released over time, and that is to meet the state requirements about runoff, water runoff management. Okay. In the process, we were able to reclaim part of the right-of-way, so we extend into the street something like 6 feet, and that became part of an assemblage of what we call bioswale. So we have enough area to collect the water in case of storm rainwater, and hold and detain them for at least 3 days. Okay. So that's one of the some of the features, and those are the features that we submitted to LEED in order to qualify for the certification. Okay. So now we're going to go into the office break room, and this is where either city staff or the staff of the operator will use. They will be in here. They have monitors to keep track of what's going on in the facility. And on the other side, through that window, is what we call the reuse room. The reuse room is open to the public so that they can come here any time that the facility is open, and they are free to pick any material that they can use in their house, whether it's paint or chemical cleaners and so on and so forth. Okay. We're going into the kind of the place where they pick up all the hazardous waste and organize them and package them so we're ready to be shipped out to another place where they dispose of that. Okay. The design of the building was done to reflect the fact that this is kind of an industrial use. So you can see that there's a lot of exposed structural elements, the beams, the columns, the rafters, everything is kind of left exposed. The space is not conditioned, but we take care of the cooling by having operable windows up above. And when they use the facility and they open the doors here, there'll be a natural airflow that would just flow through. So that would help cool the building. Okay. We also have a lot of, you can see that there's a lot of natural light through those windows and the skylights, and that would help minimize the reliance on the light. Okay. The floor is coated so that if there's any kind of spillage, anything that can be cleaned up pretty easily. And all the storage rooms are also depressed So they serve as containment area. Again, just for emergency spills. Okay. Outside in the concrete area over there, that's where the public would drive around, and they will stop right here, and whatever they bring in to be disposed of, facility staff will help remove all of that. They don't even have to get out of the car. And we have the canopy, of course, to protect them from the element, and also there's a special kind of like emergency pit in case of spill. Now the pit is just contained. There's no outflow anywhere, so that they can keep control, that under control. If there's anything urgent, the fire department will come, and they will have their own pump and everything to remove the material safely. When you look at this facility like this, it's hard to realize the amount of coordination that went on between all the team members. There were like at least at any time maybe 50, 60 people working together to resolve issues that will just pop up. From how do we fit the doors in there, because there's something that might have changed during the construction, whether we need to move a wall this way or that way. Anything can happen. So there's a huge amount of teamwork, between the city staff and the consulting team. Okay. The pits are designed and calculated based on the potential maximum volume that the room would contain in terms of any kind of liquid, chemicals, and something like that. So there's a maximum load allowed to be kept in there, and so the pit is like 3 or 4 foot deep, and we have the great system designed to overlay that, and the grate can support a forklift. So you can drive a forklift in with all the containers in there, up to something like 5,000 pounds. Okay, and so anyway, so it's flexible. In case of something happened, they can lift the grate up, and then it can go down and clean the spill. So we have essentially 3 different areas. They are meant for 3 different I guess sets of chemicals. For example, here you can see that they're classified as, one end is corrosive, this is for something toxic, and this is for oxidizer and latex paint. So that's how they organize all the different chemicals. It's really important for us to anticipate the flow of how people work in here. So that's why we have overhead doors on this end, we have overhead doors on the other end, and also on the left-hand side, so that we want to minimize any kind of conflict of a forklift and people moving back and forth. There are a lot of the three station emergency station for eye wash and shower. So again, in case the workers spill on themselves, then they can just go to the station, and they are all within so many feet of the work area. We work very closely with the fire department to resolve all these type of issues. Now maybe we can go out to the loading dock. Okay, so after the materials have been sorted and packaged, and organized, they get shipped out here. Some of the feature that help us get the LEED certification is through the use of the materials. We use concrete block. This is something that is very easy to maintain. Over the years, we don't have to worry about painting it over. And also, it's a very insulating type of material. So even though we have no heating or cooling, this material would help keep the inside of the building pretty cool most of the time. The fact that we have ventilating windows that also give us points to gain us, to give us more points on the LEED certification. We have some solar panels on top.
Oh, okay.
So the angle roof is to maximize the solar gain from that end. Also, the prevailing wind is coming from that end. So that's why on top of the roof, we also use a material called cool roof. It's essentially, it's really light colored so that it can reflect the sun better. And what happened when we do a development, you bring in the building, and the building would replace the natural ground, right? And so when we do that, it creates a lot of heat. They call it heat island effect. So this type of roof would help address some of that issue, would reflect the heat back rather than trap the heat on the ground. Okay. But the rest of it, aesthetically speaking, is to express the fact that this is kind of an industrial facility. So we like to be able to expose the structural members and kind of give it a distinctive profile, especially for a civic facility. We wanted it to stand out, and then the resident to be able to be proud of it and something that they can claim as their own. But otherwise, it's quite simple. It's very functional. It responds to the program that we were given in terms of how the facility functions and how the facility works. So kind of like form follow function kind of thing. Yeah. But all of those elements add together to give us the LEED certified. From the paint material that we use, for example, that has to also be qualified. The wood also has to come from a place that is renewable wood. Every step of the way, each of those features need to be submitted to the people who oversee the LEED process. Originally, we were going to have even more on over there. The buses are supposed to have canopies to provide shade for them, and also solar panels. But because of budget, state budget, city budget, things get cut. So that we designed it so that in the future they can still come back in and add those features relatively easily. The footing is there, sort of, so they just have to bring the kit in and then assemble them. Part of the drive over by the bus area right there is also permeable pavers. Again, we have in Thousand Oaks we have very clay soil, and so it takes a long time for water to infiltrate through that, and it takes a lot of design thinking to know where do we want water to go, and how do we hold it, and how long can we hold it. So the canopy design is not just a simple canopy, but we knew going in that it's going to also incorporate some storage of recycled material, among them electronic waste. And so we designed the waste that is sort of like part of the canopy area. And the canopy sort of like faces south to provide the shade that we have for the drive. And that would also give protection to the public when they come here. And staff would come out and either open up the trunk to remove the materials in case, like on the day that it might rain. I mentioned earlier that we have a pit in case of there's a spill, but likely we don't expect that to really happen. The canopy is designed to be a kind of a freestanding element. Not only it has the functional use that I mentioned earlier, but also has sort of like an an aesthetic reason to that. You know, from the street you can look at it, you can see it and say, oh, that's the facility that we talk about. You know, it's almost like a entry gateway or sign of the building by itself. And you can see that even for a canopy, it has to be fire sprinkler. You know, so the requirement from the fire department is very restrictive and very strong. So the public would drive in on the other side with loops around, and then they would leave. You know, right here they would leave this way out. Working on a site like this, it's also very challenging to address the issue of handicap accessibility. You know, everything has to be done so that we are within 2% slope of everything. If we get steeper than that, then we have to provide railings and such. And so it takes quite a bit of, it's like a piece of puzzle. You know, kind of put all of that together to make sure that for people in wheelchair, they can still access the site easily. So that's why you see ramping, you know, throughout the site, kind of like very modulated slope here and there. And we use kind of landscape as a way to address that issue. Also, the ramp can go around the landscape, and in doing so, we kind of address, you know, two issues at the same time. Now we kind of add an aesthetic gesture to the building. Yeah.
Because of the location that we're at in California and stuff, did you have to take in earthquakes into a factor since it was like toxic waste, or what? Did you do that in the
Well, yeah, in California, earthquake is always an issue. Everything has to be done so that it can be seismic resistant. The materials that we use is very much so. Also, all the structural elements, the steel members that you see, they have been designed to that effect. Something that you don't see, for example, like under this canopy, there's a very huge footing that would hold this element down. And that's not just the earthquake, but also wind load. Now, if we don't have that size of a footing, you know, this canopy can fly off like a kite. You know, so you'll be surprised at how strong the wind can be. So we have to address, you know, multiple issues at the same time, from seismically, the wind and the water issue. How do we, you know, luckily we don't have a high water table, but we still have to address that, and then we have to take care of how do we hold the water on the site. You know, and even though it is a recycling center, it still has its own trash area. But otherwise, you know, we try to keep the building very simple, just addressing the issues raised by the program. And you know, simplicity is actually very very hard to achieve, but I think that we did it. You know, we just keep it simple, and then still it looks. I think it looks beautiful. We're really proud of what we were able to create, especially getting the LEED certification.